Perty, really positive start to the season, obviously coming off a loss into the bye, but you must be proud of the boys' efforts so far.
Yeah, proud of all the players and coaches, really the whole footy program. At the start of the year, we said we wanted to make the finals and try and position ourselves strongly in that finals group to really have a serious impact during finals time. So to get to the mid-season break where we're 11 wins, it's fantastic work in the pre-season, in all the games we've played, all leading up to this point. And while we've had the 11 wins, I think probably the two most important games when you look at it are the two losses we've had. I look at the Adelaide game and the Collingwood game, and they're just a really good reminder to us that if we go away from our standards and disciplines, all the things we've committed to this year that have made a difference, if we go away from that, then we can't expect to win games. So those two games have been an important learning for us as well.
Every team wants to be playing finals and big finals. Do you start looking ahead yet? There's 9 games to go in the season.
No, I haven't been thinking about the finals at all, really. It's we've got 9 games to improve ourselves, and we've got some work to do. I think in the forward line we've still got work to do to get the best combination and make sure that in those big games, as we over the next 9 games that we play towards the back end of the season, that we can work on those things. I think other teams are starting to play us differently, so we need to be able to adapt to that. So those 9 games is we're putting all our focus and efforts into that, because once we get to the finals, we need to be fully prepared and at our best. I still think we've got some work to do there.
It's no secret at the end of last year there was quite an extensive review, roles were changed, different things happened. How have you seen that impact the team so far this year?
Well, the great thing is, you can see it roll out throughout the whole season, I think from game 1. And I think when we do a review, people think you're looking for a magic bullet on what can we do that no one's ever thought of before, and it's actually quite the opposite. Doing the review, talking to players and coaches and having a look at why we didn't make the finals, and I think everyone could see we've got a talented player list. But there were some elements we needed to have a look at our standards and disciplines and our behaviours and how well we were executing, not only in the games, but in the training in the lead up to that, because then that flows into the games. And we certainly needed to be operating at a higher standard, and the whole pre-season was spent working on those areas. I don't get very specific about a lot of the stuff that come out of the review, because that then becomes part of our program. But you can certainly see it playing out, because it was all about consistency. It wasn't that our best performance needed to get better or our best quarter needed to get better. We just need to be playing 4-quarter games. We need to be playing at a standard week after week after week. And the teams like the Richmonds and the Geelongs and the teams that have been successes over the recent era and are playing off in grand finals, that's what they're doing. It's about consistency, and that's what we've been working on. And a big part of that is we've had some new people come into the program. I think Alan Richardson is doing a great job in a really focused role. The previous role where Josh Marnie was looking after not only the men's and women's program, but overseeing all our facilities and the Casey redevelopment. Alan Richardson is there to focus on the AFL program and making sure that every weekend that we go out and play, that we've got the alignment, we're ready to go, and it's a very focused role. I think that's made a big difference. We've brought in some new assistant coaches around Goody, bring some different experiences, new IP. Adam Uze's been fantastic. Greg Stafford continues to develop his team and developing the forwards and the rucks. And Troy Chaplin, the work he's been doing over the last couple of years in the back line is really, we're starting to see that work come through. And Choco working on our skills. I think we looked at it as part of the review, and we weren't executing at key times in games at the standards that the top 4 teams were executing. So Choco coming in, he's got very high expectations and high standards, and I think he's had a good impact as well.
Things are going quite nicely, but we are still living in a COVID-affected world. That must be frustrating for you at times.
Yeah, it's actually a really good question. You talk about the fact that we're on top of the ladder, but it's so frustrating. Like the Melbourne supporters are up and about. I see them walking around even during the week with their Melbourne colours on, and they're loving seeing the team playing the way they're playing as well as winning games, and they want to be coming along to the game. So to have a game like Queen's Birthday that should have had 75,000 people, bringing new supporters and new members back in, and we're getting so many more kids coming along to the game. It's really frustrating having to cancel and move those games and have uncertainty for the rest of this season of how many people we're going to be able to have at the MCG for our final MCG games. So I want to see us playing well on field, but I want to see the Demon supporters and members coming back and experiencing that and being part of it at the MCG. And I reckon for me that's been the biggest frustration with this whole COVID, that's been on and off, and it's impacted the supporters' ability to be there and experience it. And a classic example of that was on Queen's Birthday.
As well as Queen's Birthday, we missed the Alice Springs game. They're two big financial benefits for the club. How is the club tracking in that side of things?
Well, we've had a really good start to the season financially with good crowds and really strong membership. We'll break our membership record this year. So financially, we were in a really strong position and as strong as a position we've ever been in. And then we had our two biggest financial games coming up, where we had Alice Springs and we had the Queen's Birthday, and that was going to be just a huge big boost to us. And to have this outbreak in Melbourne, where obviously we went into lockdown, borders were closed, and it couldn't have been for two worse games, the Alice Springs game and the Queen's Birthday. That'll directly cost us $1.8 million. Membership has really slowed up because of the uncertainty about where games are going to be played. That'll cost us over $500,000 again. So we're getting up over, in a 2-week period, because of the timing in the season, that'll have a $2 million plus impact on our result by the end of the year. And you can't do anything about it. We moved the games to Sydney, so at least we could get as many of our Melbourne supporters there as possible. And they come along, they were in relatively small numbers, but they were very vocal and we appreciate their support. And we just got to keep on trying to build momentum for the rest of this year. But it's had a big financial impact the last couple of weeks.
A regular talking point among fans is the facility situation. Have you got any update there on how that's tracking?
Yeah, and I'm very excited where it's at the moment. There's two parts to it. There's first of all our training ground at Gosh's, and I think we all know that that's not of an AFL standard, and that needs to be the dimensions of other clubs, and it needs to be close to an MCG size standard. And hopefully in the next few weeks there'll be some really great announcements. I think our supporters will love, our players definitely will. So that's getting really close. In regards to the home base, which is the second part of the work that we've been doing, we've got the budget's been approved to finalise the design work and the planning work, keeping in mind that this is a state government, AFL and Melbourne Football Club joint venture project, putting all this together. And it's taken a long time to get to these points. Those designs will be completed around about Christmas this year. But when you're trying to build a home base and a training oval in arguably the best sporting precinct in the world, inner city training, administration facilities, in a precinct around the MCG and the location that we're in at the moment, it's going to take time. It's going to have its challenges. And, but it's definitely in the best shape that we've been in, and I'm hoping that there'll be more announcements in the relative short term.
You mentioned a little earlier that our membership record could be broken this year. We've passed 50,000. You must be excited with all the support around the club.
Yeah, well, there's a figure. There's 52,500, let's say, rounded off. We've got to beat that figure this year, and I think the way the momentum's going, that we'll certainly break that record and hopefully get a fair way past it. And that's nice from a numbers point of view. But really what that means is and we've seen it. More members that have dropped off are coming back. Supporters that have never been members are starting to sign up. And one of the areas that I love seeing grow are the kids and teenagers that are coming back. They're loving watching the game. The kids can't get enough of Cozzy Pickett, and when he's kicking goals from the boundary line and whatever, they're really excited. But when you see those supporters coming back and being excited and coming back week after week, that's what the growth in membership means. And we need to have a whole series of really strong years. We need to be playing in finals for 2, 3, 4, 5 years for our membership to grow into the 60s and 70s, that will happen. We've got a really passionate supporter base, but we've got to consistently perform on field to keep those numbers at those levels. So that's what our target is, and I think we've built good momentum at the moment this season, but we will need to keep on doing that season after season after season to really grow it to the numbers that is a reflection of what the Melbourne Football Club should be. We should be in the 60, 70,000 mark in membership, up with the bigger clubs, and we should be getting average crowds to our home games at the MCG in the 50, 60,000s, but that'll only come when you're playing great footy, when you're winning, and you're playing a style of footy that the Melbourne supporters go, I want to be there, I want to be part of it, and I love the connection with the players.
We had a program last year, Proud to Belong, Proud to Give. That's back again this season. How important is it that people get around the club?
Well, it was really important last year. You know, everyone knows that we were hugely financially impacted by the COVID shutdown. And this year already we've seen, you know, as I talked about earlier, we're being impacted again. So our supporters and our corporate partners and our members have just been so amazing, and hopefully they see the players and the footy program, we're rewarding them the way the effort being put in each weekend. But the reality is to keep on getting through this period, which hopefully this is the second year of COVID, and let's hope it's the last. But those donations and the financial support that our supporters are kicking in at all different levels, and with the fundraising, nearly $1 million we raised last year, and I can tell you now, that made the difference of us being an unassisted club. That meant that we didn't need to go to the AFL and ask for funding, which then had a whole lot of conditions attached to it. Conditions we don't want, they're not in our best interests. So again, in the same way the members are jumping on board, for those supporters that are helping us with our fundraising, a lot have jumped on board already, but if others could, I'd encourage them to, because it's just helping us through this really difficult financial time.
Well, it's an exciting time to be a part of the club. Perty, thanks for your time and good luck for the rest of the season.
Great, thanks Ben.